Hi there, welcome to the AV.com YouTube channel. My name is Tim and today we are talking home cinema and specifically the JBL MA Receiver series, which has just come out brand new this year. Now, it's really pleasing to be talking home cinema and it's really pleasing to see some fresh product in this space. Now, JBL have taken a really bold approach with this lineup and we're going to tell you a little bit about that, and we're also going to summarize the differences between the models so that you can make a better buying decision. As always, before we get into it, give us a subscribe and a thumbs up. It really helps the channel and means that you don't miss out on any future content. So let's talk about JBL. JBL is a global name in audio. You will have come across the sound already, be it a headphone, a Bluetooth speaker, in-car audio, in the studio. They really are everywhere. Now, JBL was founded by James B. Lansing, hence the name JBL, in 1946. But before that, Lansing himself was actually involved specifically in the making of speaker drivers for cinemas. So this is a company really rooted in home cinema. And it's not like they're actually new to home cinema or electronics, because they actually make the classic hi-fi range, which came out last year, which has got a real pedigree in 2-channel. And they, of course, have their synthesis line of AVRs, which are really well regarded and really well reviewed out there. Now, synthesis is very much a high-end and integrated solution. What JBL have been missing is a consumer-led and affordable range of AV receivers. So step in the MA or modern audio receivers. Now, JBL have sent us a couple of units here. We've got the MA 710 and the 9100. There are actually 5 in the lineup, so we'll talk you through those. And different features come in at different levels of the models, so we'll try and guide you through that. But if I miss anything off, please visit AV.com, where we've got all those details lined up for you. Now, at the same time as launching these models, JBL actually launched the incredible Stage 2 series of speakers that you see behind me. And the 2 units together mean that you can bring all of that pedigree from JBL cinema sound to your home. So we'll talk a little bit about those as well. So let's take a look at the range. There are 5 models in the range. There's the MA 310, 510 and 710, and then you get the 7100 HP and the 9100 HP. The first 3 models all occupy this chassis size, and the last 2 models occupy this chassis size. Now, this really isn't a Me Too product. JBL have really produced something quite different here and have taken a bold approach. Now, AV receivers in the past have been full of buttons, and just a look at the back of an AV receiver is often enough to turn people off the product. JBL have really thought about what you do need and what you don't need and made sure that you've got a really clean product. Now, one of the first things that hits you about these receivers is the design. I mean, you can see the white finish here and the black finish here. Now, I've been in the industry a while. I can't remember a white AV receiver until now. Maybe in the comments box you can let me know if I'm wrong. And I think that's really to be applauded. There are some things that are really important about that. Things like the PlayStation 5, which actually comes in white. And therefore you can see that there's a thought about how these are going to fit into modern homes. Now, there's some really nice design touches here. So just behind this kind of floating translucent front, there's actually an orange line of color accent, and that actually matches the grills on the Stage 2. So you get a design narrative between the speakers and the AV receivers. The other thing you'll notice that the 310, 510 and 710 all have this small VFD display. When you move to the HP products, you get this beautiful color LCD screen, which is really nice when you're streaming music and the like. All the models have got an on-screen display and they're really easy to set up. You can actually adjust all of the functions and settings from the actual front of the unit as well as the remote control. The remote controls for these units echo that simplistic approach. They're really quite clean and simple, but you can do everything you need to do. Now, a really cool feature on the HP models is this underglow lighting, which you might be able to see here, and that can actually be changed. So one of the things you could do, for example, on this black unit is you could make that green, and then that would match the gaming console like the Xbox in a really cool way. Finally, one of the things I really like, on the volume button, it actually says safe to turn beyond 11. So in every way, there's a fresh and clean and well thought out design. And these are actually AVRs that are designed to be seen and not hidden. So So let's talk about setup. Due to the minimalist nature of the product, there's not reams and reams of menu options that you need to struggle with. You simply use the remote or the front of the unit. You'll need to set the speaker sizes to large or small, and then obviously set a crossover frequency when using a subwoofer. You will need to set the distances and the levels. So a top tip for me is just to get an SPL meter and a tape measure, and you can get those done really easily. And then that's kind of it, you're good to go. Now, for those of you that want to tweak a little bit further and get into room correction and EQ, then all the models, all 5 of them, feature JBL's Easy Set EQ. This is an application that's on iOS or Android. You can download that. It's quite easy to use and will get you up and running. For those of you that want to take it to the real next level, the HP models, the 7100 and the 9100, do feature Dirac Live, so you do need a separate subscription for that, but then you can get into one of the best room correction tools out there and really tweak your sound. Now, from the 510 and upwards, they support network audio. Just a quick note, to get that set up, you do need to use JBL's premium home audio app, but it's a very simple process. So let's talk about some of the cinema related features. First up, number of channels. The 310 and the 510 have got 5 channels. The 710 and the 7100, 7 channels, and then the 9100 at the top of the range has 9 channels. And in terms of power, they all step up. So they start, and this is at 8 ohms with 2 channels driven. Start with the 310 at 60 watts per channel. That moves to 75 with the 510. And then the 710 here is 110 watts. Then you get 125 with the 7100 and 140 with the 9100 here. So let's talk about HDMI inputs and outputs. The 310 and the 510 support 4 in and 1 out. That moves to 6 in and 1 out on the 710, and then the 7100 and 9100 models feature 6 in and 2 out. Now, the MA 310 at the entry point of the range supports HDMI 2.0. and all the other models support HDMI 2.1, and there's quite a lot of features that you get with HDMI 2.1. So let's talk ARC, or audio return channel. This is a technology that we've covered in other videos, and it allows your TV to operate as the source component and send the sound back down to the AV receiver using the one HDMI cable. Now, with the MA 310 supporting 2.0, that is ARC, and then with all the other models, that becomes eARC. And the difference there is that Dolby Atmos can be supported via that technology. The other thing that HDMI 2.1 supports is enhanced HDR handling. So the MA 310 has HDR10, and all the other models support HDR10 Plus and Dolby Vision. Now, rounding off the cinema features, I must add that Dolby Atmos processing kicks in from the MA 710, so if that's important to you, that's where you should be looking. Now, the final point about HDMI 2.1 is it gives you 8K capability, so the 510 and upwards all have 8K HDMI inputs, and the MA 310 supports 4K. It's time to turn our attention to the music capability of these machines, and a lot of people are going to want their AVRs to be part of their music system, or indeed their music system, and JBL have got you covered there, which is not hard to believe given their pedigree in music. So as I mentioned earlier, they do make high-end 2-channel equipment, so you can expect JBLs to sound good in 2-channel mode, and this did bear out when I was using them in our showroom. Now, they all feature Bluetooth support. The 310 and the 510 have a basic Bluetooth functionality, and then that becomes aptX HD and aptX Adaptive from the 710 here and the remaining 2 models. The top 2 HP models even have a Bluetooth transmit mode, which means that they can actually send out via Bluetooth what they're playing with real low latency. So if you wanted to use a set of Bluetooth headphones, you could do. In terms of network audio, really well featured. The 510 upward all support network streaming via JBL's premium audio app. You've got support for Tidal Connect and Spotify Connect. You've also got support of the AirPlay and Chromecast protocols. So if you think about Spotify Connect, AirPlay, Chromecast and Bluetooth, there really isn't anything that you can't play through these machines. Now, when playing music, that's when the screen on the 7100 and 9100 really comes into its own. It gives you album art, and regular viewers will know that I'm a big fan of that. And a final point on music is that from the 510 upwards, they are all room ready. So let's talk about connections on the MA receivers. All the models feature 2 RCA inputs, and that's joined by a moving magnet phono stage from the 710 and upwards for connecting a turntable. All the models feature 1 optical and 1 coax input, and that's joined by a USB input from the 510 and upwards. In terms of pre-outs, there's 2 pre-outs for the subwoofers on every model, and then that's joined by an additional pre-out on the 710 and upwards. And that sort of makes sense because that's where you get 7 channels, so you get the ability to do a zone 2. You also start to get features like ampersand, so you can choose what those channels actually do. You've got a few more configuration options available to you. So let's talk about sound quality. At a launch event, I was able to hear the MA 310 and the 9100. And in our showroom, I've checked out the 310 and the 710. And I have to say, right across the range, it's an awesome performance. Now, you want your home cinema receivers to sound cinematic, and that's exactly what they do. Now, in the showroom, we were using a scene from Fury, and just to give you an example, as a bullet hit a tank and ricocheted off into the sky, that was steered really well, and that information was all there, and the height channels of the Atmos on the 710 worked really well. Now, each time I've heard the MA receivers, they have been combined with JBL Stage 2, which was launched at the same time, and you totally see why. The two together really work well. Another feature that I really noticed was just the crisp and forward nature of the vocals. So even when the action gets going, you can still make that out, which is really important. JBL's signature sound is there. There's an authority, there's an pace, and there's an attack. And I think you'll really, really like whatever model you go to. And the MA 310 at the entry level, wow, what a receiver. That really is impressive and very, very affordable. So I think these are awesome units, and I must mention the music quality as well. I've tried them in 2-channel, and as you would expect, they perform really, really well. So I want to give you a bit of advice around the range and maybe what to look out for. The MA 310 at the entry point of this range may at first glance look a bit stripped back, but actually I totally get that model. You're getting a premium product from a premium brand, you're getting high quality Class D amplification, and it sounds absolutely awesome. For music streaming, you could have the TV as source and have the ARC taking control of that. And you get everything you need to build a really superb sounding home cinema system and not have to break the bank. My next recommendation in terms of step up would be the MA 710 that you see here. Now, I feel like this is a really well-rounded offering. You get HDMI 2.1, 8K, you get the music streaming, you get Dolby Atmos. There really isn't much that isn't featured on this receiver. And you also get a healthy amount of power to drive even the most demanding speakers. In fact, the 710 and the 7100 are quite close in specification. So the screen and the underglow lighting, only you can decide if those are important to you. If not, then the 710 actually is a superb machine. And the 9100 at the top, given it's the first one with 9 channels, is the one capable of doing 5.2.4 or 7.2.2. So really, if you want to have that full Atmos configuration, then you do need to look at the 9100 and what a machine it is. So I mentioned that JBL have taken a bold and different approach with this lineup of receivers, and they really benefit from that. So there's no pre-outs on the models, but I really understand that. It means that the back of the units and the front of the units and the menu structures are uncluttered and easy to use, and ease of use is really important for the modern consumer. The on-screen display is functional, but how often do you use the on-screen display? I haven't gone to mine for such a long time on my receiver at home. So anything that stands in the way of enjoying the product is taken away, and everything that you need for a modern entertainment system is included. And I think JBL have got that spot on. I said it's great to have some fresh product in this space, and I believe JBL have dragged the AV receiver into the 21st century. Even the design alone, the size and the cleanness of the displays just make them so much more accommodating for a modern home. Now, by bringing out the Stage 2 speakers at the same time, they've actually taken away some of the complexity of maybe choosing electronics and speakers. You can go for a full JBL home cinema system, and let's have it right, JBL is trusted in music venues and commercial cinemas across the globe, and you can have that in your home. Now, I think AV systems are such a brilliant investment because there's so much brilliant content out there now and streaming services, but you're really missing out if you don't get the sound to match the quality of picture. And it's something that you can keep returning to, so it's just great value. So we thoroughly recommend the JBL MA receivers, and go and check them out on av.com. We hope you found this video interesting and fun. If there's anything we missed out, pop it in the comments box and we'll try and answer that as soon as we can. If you want to speak to us, you can give any of our experts a call and they'll be happy to tell you about them. The models are on display in our showroom if you want to come and hear them. And I think that's everything. So until next time, keep on grooving.